What's up, fam?
You already know what this is.
Welcome to the Strong and Sexy Show.
I'm your host, Ben Pruitt.
And I'm Megan Nunez. And here we're going to dive into everything you need to know in fitness and health, no bullshit included.
So if you're ready to stop wasting your goddamn time and finally start seeing results,
then get your ass inside because we got a value-packed episode waiting for you. Let's get it.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Strong and Sexy Show. I'm your host, Ben Pruitt, and this is
Megan Nunez.
And guys, we got a good one for you guys today. So first and foremost, I want to thank you all for tuning in today, taking your time out to hang out with us for the next half hour or so. We're going to drop some bombs. Today, we want to talk about flexible dieting, the do's and don'ts.
A lot of you guys make a lot of mistakes when it comes to starting out flexible dieting, so we're going to get right into the good stuff so you guys can actually get results while having fun foods.
Yeah, so first, let's kind of start out by talking about what is flexible dieting and what are the thoughts on it?
I want you to start.
What is your definition of flexible dieting?
I want to say flexible dieting by its name is just having more flexibility with options and what you can eat. It's not just like straight up chicken, broccoli, and rice, basic bullshit. It's like having fun stuff guilt-free. That's my definition of flexible dieting.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree. I think it's just having the freedom to fit certain foods into your diet while still being able to see progress and without sacrificing your goals. That's what I would consider flexible dieting.
Nice. So, of course, a lot of people want to start getting into flexible dieting right away because, I mean, it sounds amazing, right? You can have fun foods, you can still look snatched, you can still look shredded, whatever you want to call it. But there's a process to it. There is a way to actually get into flexible dieting where you're not hurting yourself. So today we're going to go over basically what you should do to get into flexible dieting. Before we actually get into that, we want to talk about some mistakes a lot of people make with flexible dieting. And then once you start getting it right, we're going to talk about like the outcomes, like what are the benefits that you actually experience when you get this right. And that's basically it.
Yeah. So if you think about just anything flexible, right? Like I think about like this analogy, like if you want to be more flexible with your body, you're not just going to jump straight into doing the splits, right? Because you're probably going to hurt yourself, right? Mm-hmm. So you want to warm yourself up. There's steps to it. And I think a lot of the times when people, think about flexible dieting, they think about this whole idea of like if something fits into their macros, they can eat it. So they use that as an excuse to just, go balls to the wall, eating whatever the fuck they want.
Eating like an asshole, as we want to call it.
Yeah. So basically like, oh, well, this McDonald's says that I can eat, McDonald's says it has this amount of calories, this amount of protein, this amount of carbs and fat. So I'm going to fit this in. Mm-hmm. It fits my diet and I can have this piece of junk food because, it has this amount of carbs in it.
Fits my numbers.
Yeah. So you eat. So one of the big mistakes that we see is people will start just feeding themselves junk food all day long.
Yep. And of course, like there are situations where you can eat trash like that. You're going to lose weight. But in terms of your body composition and how you feel and what you see in the mirror, it's not progressing in the right direction, right? The number on a scale is just going to tell you your body mass, but it doesn't really tell you like how much muscle mass and body fat you have. So yeah, like that's the most common mistake. And, a lot of my clients experience this coming into, getting into flexible dieting and they're like, oh, fuck, I have more flexibility now. Fuck the meal plan. I can just eat whatever I want. And some things that they notice when they do start eating like an asshole is, again, your energy is depleted. Your gut health is compromised, like because your gut is not, your gut microbiome is not balanced. You're going to start to experience more fatigued, like you're lethargic, you're tired all the time. You can't think straight. You're always hungry. You're always craving. And because you're experiencing these things, it's also going to affect like how you're going to show up in the gym, right? Yeah. When you don't have the energy to work out, you don't have the energy to actually put in quality work with your exercises. And this also affects the results over time.
Right, because not all calories and all macros are created equal. Like if you think just because something has 25 grams of protein, that it's equal to, like, say like a protein bar, for example. I'm not going to stuff myself with 2 protein bars before a workout because I'm going to feel like shit when I go train. I'd rather put whole nutrient dense foods in my body because, one, it's going to digest better, it's going to flow through my body better, and I'm going to be able to output more in the gym.
Yep. And also, like, people just think about, like, oh, it has protein, but they don't even fucking look at the other macros that it has. Like, the amount of times people are like, oh, yeah, this Chick-fil-A sandwich has 50 grams of protein, but when you look at the fat content in it, it's way more than the protein.
Yeah, like 30, 40 grams of protein. So you have like double as much calories from fat as you do from protein.
Yeah, so that's also like a mistake, is like not looking at the whole nutrition label if it fits your macros, not just like the protein alone, not just like the calories alone. Like you have to actually see if it fits your goal.
You can't just wing it, can't just wing it. We have to be strategic about it. And so I think that, what we do see is people will start to, I call it, abuse flexible dieting. You know? So that's just essentially where they will have this idea of, like, again, if it fits your macros, they'll just eat whatever they want. And, they end up having a pretty poor relationship with food. And I want you to touch on that because I know that's something that you've had experience with.
Yeah. So when I'm basically one of those people that made the mistake of like just going balls to the wall with flexible dieting when I found out like, oh, I don't have to fully restrict myself with the most basic ass shit. So for me, like, it ruined my relationship with food because I would basically, I want to say, starve myself throughout the entire day just to save up as much of my calories, my carbs, and my fat for nighttime so I can have crazy ass food, like junk food. And of course, like the next day, we know how that goes. Like, you don't feel good, you feel heavy, the number on the scale is fluctuating, you feel tired. And I try to compensate that by, overdoing my exercises in the gym. Like, let me just burn off the calories that I consumed the night before. Even though it fits, just because I feel heavy, I need to burn it off. Like, I need to do extra cardio. So not only did it ruin the relationship that I had with food, it also ruined the relationship that I have in the gym. So that's also you putting yourself in a position to overly restrict yourself. Still, even with the flexibility of the type of foods that you eat, you're restricting the calories throughout the entire day. And you also know what happens, like, you start to binge at night. Let's say like you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna plan to have like this whole box of pizza that fits my calories and my macros, but because you've been starving yourself throughout the entire day, you feel like you need to graze on food. So you're going to end up eating more than what you planned. And that's how it works, right? You start to go to the pantry and like, okay, what else can I eat? Let me have a dessert. Let me have something sweet after this dinner. So that's how it ruined my relationship with food. And not just that, like, I also, when it comes to tracking, like, it ruined my relationship with like tracking calories and my macros because I thought like, oh, I'm being, I want to say, too anal about the numbers that I was putting in my body just to fit in the fun foods. Mm-hmm. So that's when I thought like, oh, like tracking your using a food diary is like an eating disorder. Like, I really thought about it at that point, but it's not because of the process. It's because of how I utilized it or how I actually didn't use it to my advantage.
Yeah, and so I had an experience too. Like, whenever I was in a competition prep, like I had the flexibility to pretty much eat whatever I wanted if it fit my macros. And so I did it a little bit differently. I was over analytical about everything. So I was like making all these different recipes all day, every day. So I wasn't eating out, I wasn't eating like, quote, junk food. I was just spending a lot of time like finding foods that, were low in fat, not a lot of carbs, high in protein, which is cool. But at the same time, I was just basically, my whole day was revolved around like cooking food and making recipes. So I had like all these different things in my fridge. I had like 40 different ingredients at a time. So I could just put together all these different foods.
That's like me.
Yeah. So it's like, it's like, oh, I want a pizza today. And it was cool. Like it did, I didn't lose progress, but at the same time, mentally, it was draining. So like, I realized that I was kind of just overdoing it with the with the tracking, so because again, I was having every single meal was a fun meal for me. You know, every single meal, even though it had the right nutrients, it had the right macros, it was still a fun meal. Like, and I think for me, what I had to realize was that I had to dial that back a little bit and, you know, keep the basics in, because you know, there were days where I would eat I would eat like patty melts for lunch. I would eat, you know, French toast for breakfast. I'd eat pizzas for dinner. And that was like a good day. And I'd still be within my macros, but I would wake up the next day, like not feeling amazing.
Bloated.
I would drink all these diet sodas. My weight would go up.
Oh yeah. The 0-calorie drinks.
Yeah. My weight would go up not because I was gaining fat, but I was just holding on to a shitload of water all the time. So my stomach wasn't feeling good. You know, I wasn't digesting all my food properly because I was eating a lot of highly processed foods, even though they had the right macronutrient counts.
Yeah.
So once I, you know, kind of just dialed that back a little bit and maybe took it to the point where it's like, okay, maybe we'll just do, you know, maybe three meals out the week that are a little bit more fun. That's when I started, you know, performing better in the gym. That's when my digestion started to, you know, fix itself. You know, I started feeling good. I had more energy, and I just was a whole lot less stressed about what I had to eat because I still had structure with my diet.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm guilty of that. Like it went to a point where I would every single day I'm like, okay, let me eat something different. Let me go through Instagram or TikTok and let me find a different recipe. And I can relate to that, where I felt like I was tired all the time and I felt like I was bloated, even though I was tracking my calories and my macros, and even though the recipes that I put together fits those numbers, I still wasn't feeling the best. Like, I feel like a lot of us ignore that's basically your body, like, literally screaming at you, like, what the fuck are you doing?
Right. And then when you have all those variables into your diet, it's hard to identify what is causing
What's
the
causing
issue.
you to bloat?
So it's
What's
like,
causing you to feel bad?
why is my digestion off? I don't know. It's like, you had all these foods. So like,
Yeah.
how do we pinpoint that? You know, so that's kind of another thing too. It's like, if you're having, you know, if you feel lethargic all the time and you're trying to, you know, quote, eat healthy, but you're, you know, trying all these different recipes with all these new different foods, you know, again, it's going to be harder to identify what you need to remove or adjust or substitute in order to continue seeing, you know, healthy progress. That way you can feel good. Again, I look at, like, you know, we eat so that way we can feel good. You know what I'm saying? We eat so that we can perform good, and we eat so we can survive. You know what I'm saying? But if we're eating things and then we feel like shit afterwards, it's probably not something that we should continue to eat.
Yeah. And I mean, to add into that, like, it doesn't help if you're the type of person that's craving all the time. Like, especially if, like, your macro-friendly recipes or the foods that you're putting together are, like, sugary stuff and, like, very salty stuff, you know, like, oh, here's a macro-friendly McDonald's, or, you know what I mean, made at home, or macro-friendly, like, dessert made at home. Like, it still has sugar in it. It still has the excess amount of sodium in it. And that's where you're not really dealing with your craving. Like, you're not addressing the problem that's causing you to gain weight. If anything, like, you're just putting yourself in a position to actually take 2 steps backwards, because you're, again, enabling yourself to continue on having the same lifestyle that caused you to stay stuck.
Exactly. I do just kind of want to, like, divert this real quick. So, like, when we go back to just talking about certain foods, what was one of the foods that you loved fitting into your macro-friendly meals that you realized that you had to take out?
I have so many recipes. If you guys don't know, I would literally tell you, go through my TikTok long time ago, years ago. When I first started making content, I was like this girly that would make macro-friendly recipes. That was like the type of content I was posting. And I started blowing up, and people would start to expect, like, oh, she needs to come out with another recipe. So it's like, almost every single day, I needed to actually eat what I was, like, creating. So, your question was, like, what's the macro-friendly recipe that
It was really like an ingredient that you like a substitute. Like, for me, it was like fat-free cheese. That's like something like, so for me, I was eating fat-free cheese so fucking much.
I think,
and then I had to, like, it was just messing up my stomach so bad that I just had to, like, literally, like I said,
that's crazy.
I can't do it.
I can't even have cheese anymore. For me, I think it's like the 0-calorie sugar. The stevia, the Splenda, the what's the other artificial brand now?
I don't know.
There's like a powdered sugar now, because I love to bake. Like, I love to put, like, baked goods. I grew up baking with my family, and I'm like, can't have that if I'm trying to, like, get into my fitness journey. And then I found out, like, oh, flexible diet, I can do that. So then I started fucking baking all these different things And I'm telling you, go to my freaking TikTok a long time ago. You can see that I would just bake some shit and I would add like 0-calorie sweetener in there. And I think I made the mistake of when you also log in 0-calorie sweeteners on MyFitnessPal or any food diary that you use, it still has carbs in it. Even though the label says it's 0 calories, it still has carbs in it, which is weird. As I'm like, I don't know. I'm telling you, just look at the label. I looked at it. I was like, what does this have? X amount of carbs, but it's coming out as 0 calories.
It's interesting.
I know.
Very interesting.
So I'm probably going over my carbs, to be honest. Like using, maybe it's different because I use like brown sugar, 0-calorie brown sugar. It's this specific brand. I forgot the name, you guys, but yeah, it has carbs in it when you log in.
That's weird.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Maybe it's one of those things where it's like, oh, it's like X amount of fibers minus the carbs.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, but I do know, like, and we can get to this later, like about the aspartame and artificial sweeteners, but like overdoing anything is not
good for you.
Not gonna be good for you. Now, doing things in moderation, which we're gonna get to in a bit, is super helpful. So that is how you don't do it.
That's how you fuck up your diet.
That is how you just ruin your diet.
That's how you abuse flexible dieting.
Yeah. So what should they do instead, right? So I think the first thing that we really got to focus on, like, again, like my analogy was earlier, like if you're trying to get a flexible body, if you're trying to hit the splits, you're not just going to try to drop into the splits. You're going to progress, and there's going to be structure around it. Like you have to slowly work your way down to a full split because you're not flexible. Yeah. So if you're not flexible with your diet already, if you don't know what that looks like, you can't expect yourself to have this type of fluidity, right? You have to teach yourself through structure. So what I like to do with my clients is I give them a structure that they can be consistent with. So I do give them options, but I make sure those options are nutrient dense to start with. So, I give them, a choice of carbs that they can pick from, a choice of proteins that they can pick from, a choice of fats that they can pick from. But we want to make sure that these are nutrient-dense foods. So that way, again, we can identify if there's any foods that they have, any type of unwanted response to or anything like that. It's like, well, I ate this today. I don't really like the way that I felt when I ate this. So like for me, I don't necessarily feel great when I eat like a whole bunch of rice. So I realized I'm like, I got to start doing like some sweet potatoes, etc. But I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't developed structure. So you want to develop that structure. You want to keep it simple to start with. You don't want to start adding in a bunch of BS to your diet. Keep it simple, but have a little bit of room for substitution. So you don't have to eat chicken and rice all the time. You can eat, chicken and rice one day. You can eat steak and potatoes the next day. You can eat salmon and quinoa the next day if you want.
It's like a meal plan guide,
right?
That they need to look at. And I also think that that's a great idea to start off with getting into flexible dieting because not a lot of people have structure, period. Like a lot of you, especially women, skipping your breakfast. Like literally we just eat whenever it's convenient. And how do you expect to start tracking all these different foods, like looking at the labels and start changing the serving sizes to make it fit your diet if you haven't even gained the consistency of actually fueling your body. Right. This is how you start to feel overwhelmed. And when you're overwhelmed, this is where I hear a lot of people say like, oh, like tracking is not for me. It's too much. It's too overwhelming. But that's because you didn't do it right. Right. So once you've gained that consistency, I always tell my clients too, like you can't have flexibility without consistency. Right. Because I also say like discipline is structure. I mean, no, discipline is freedom. Discipline is freedom. I always say that discipline is freedom. You can't have freedom unless you're disciplined. Like I always say too, like how do you expect yourself to have freedom around food when you don't trust yourself being around food? Right. And this is with people that struggle with ED or people that still binge eat or under eat, right? When you don't trust yourself fully being around food, I don't think you should have that flexibility yet. And this is where, again, having that meal plan guide is what's going to help you actually gain the habit to actually feel your body better first.
Right. And you're eating nutrient dense foods. And even when you're following a meal plan guide, like I still recommend that you weigh out those foods as well. So the first thing that you want to do is just prepare your own food, weigh it out, and consume it. That's the first thing.
Yeah, practice weighing your foods because some people even weigh the wrong foods. Like they weigh, I don't know, it's just an example. Like let's say you're tracking in the beginning and you're weighing raw and you're logging in cooked. So
Right.
it's like
Well, and that's why
different
that's why I don't
values.
even have people track at first. I just have
Yeah.
them weigh it and eat it.
Yeah.
Now, once they get good at weighing and eating their food, then we keep the similar structure going, but
Yeah.
then they just log in the foods that they have been eating. So it's still the similar types of foods. They're still weighing the things out. Then we add the next step of just logging in those foods into MyFitnessPal. So that way they can see what it looks like. What, like for example, if they have 100 grams of chicken breast, they're like, oh, okay, this is 30 grams of protein. If they
Yeah.
have 100 grams of rice, they're like, oh, this is 30 grams of carbs, or 100 grams of potatoes. Oh, this is 20 grams of carbs. So it's like you start to understand when you start to, put that data into a database and it shows you what those numbers look like.
Yeah, because people are just fucking eyeball shit. Wow, this is like a tablespoon of peanut butter. Next
you
thing
gotta
you know,
wa-
it's fucking.
You got to weigh that shit out.
You'll know that you're truly weighing shit right when you look at how sad a tablespoon of peanut butter looks like.
Yeah, it's not fun.
It's really not a lot.
Not a
But
lot at all.
yeah, weigh your foods in the beginning with a meal plan structure and gain the consistency of actually getting all of your meals in first before you start adding in the fun stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So then after you start tracking in the, structured, boring foods.
It doesn't have to be boring, honestly.
Like-
First and foremost, you can switch out like the ingredients when you put that together. Like even though chicken, broccoli, and rice sounds boring, how can you make it fun? Like maybe change the seasonings, change the marinade, change the way you actually cook it. Are you gonna grill it? Are you gonna like put in a slow cooker? Like
Gonna air fry it.
Air fry it. There's many ways for you to actually make the boring stuff fun and delicious and something that you still look forward to. Because a lot of people think like, oh, because like I'm serious about my fitness journey and I'm following this meal plan, it needs to be bland, it needs to be boring, I need to suffer. But that's how you're gonna fall off track from it, and you can't stay consistent with it when you come into it with that mindset. Like even though we're saying like start with the basic boring shit first, you can still make the basic boring shit taste good.
Yeah. Seasonings are underrated.
Seasonings.
Shit.
I always go with like steak seasoning,
Yup.
lemon and herb seasoning. You guys haven't seen my YouTube, but what like combine those two with any protein that you have, you're good to go.
Yep. Facts.
Yeah, or marinades too. You want it? You want fucking Indian? You want Filipino marinades? There's so many marinades out there, but pick the one that has lesser sodium though. But try it out.
Yep. Cool. Then after that, after you get used to putting those foods into MyFitnessPal and understanding how everything equates, then you can start adding in, some more fun things. Then you can, maybe add in a bag of chips.
So
like
pause.
a small bag of
I
chips.
will
Go
say,
ahead.
like with once you gain that consistency, right? You're following your meal plan. You're getting all your meals in. I would practice actually logging in what you've been eating.
I just said that.
What?
that's what
Did you say that?
yes.
No, I thought you said just adding flexibility.
No,
right away.
I said that was on the last step. I just mentioned that. I said you want to make sure you're logging in those foods
Oh
into
no, what I'm saying.
MyFitnessPal.
Okay, just to emphasize that, you don't necessarily have to switch things around once you start logging in your stuff in your food diary. It's going to be easier for you to actually practice when you're just eating the same things. I want to say just give yourself like 2 weeks of just practicing logging in what you're consistently eating. Because a lot of people make the mistake of like, oh, I'm just going to change it up every single day with like different proteins and different carbs and different this, and that. But you're going to start to feel overwhelmed doing that too. So I would just give the tip of stay consistent with what you're eating for at least like 2 weeks and just log that in so you can easily understand like, oh, this is how you log in food. This is how you adjust the serving sizes on your food diary. This is the amount of calories that I'm actually eating.
Yeah.
And then you can start to like play around with what you're eating.
Yeah, I did. I left out the tip about the couple weeks of doing the logging.
Yeah.
So thanks for catching that.
Yes.
But yes, after you do that, then you can start to make some swaps here and there.
We're not
because
saying eat a whole ass cake
don't do
for
that.
dessert.
But it's just like you can go around, like you can look at the nutrition label.
Yeah.
And the ideal thing to do is to try to track your foods the day in advance. And then if you see something, like if I have my foods tracked and I see like a bag of chips and it has like 20 grams of carbs, 9 grams of fat, then I know that I have to just adjust another meal.
Yeah.
In my
But it
FitnessPal.
would really help you so much when you just log it in the night before. Whatever it is that you're craving or the fun stuff that you want to log in, make sure that's logged in the night before. Because a lot of people make the mistake of, I'm just going to log it in after I eat. Like you can't fucking undo the damage when you're already eating the calories. what are you gonna throw up and shit? Like, no. Or like go to the gym and like do the fucking amount of cardio that burns off the calories. No, that's how you're gonna ruin, again, the relationship with food and the gym. So just make sure to plan it ahead of time the night before. I always tell my clients, if you don't want to log in everything ahead of time, like a week ahead of time, and you want to have a little bit more flexibility to decide on what you want to eat, log it in the night before. So when the day comes, you're just like, okay, you come in there with certainty that, okay, this fun meal that I planned the night before is going to fit. And I don't feel the need to worry about, is this going to mess up my progress?
Yeah. And, it gives you something to look forward to too.
Yeah.
It's like, it gives you that idea of just like, okay, this isn't just a diet anymore. It's like, if, you're thinking like, okay, I get to look forward to this nice meal because I've already planned it out. And I know for a fact that I'm still going to be under or at my calories for the day. So it gives you that confidence.
And if you're logging in the night before, I think you have more flexibility to think about, what is it do I actually want to eat? Because when you're on the day of and you already consume all your meals, you're looking at the amount of calories you have left. You're basically just going with, okay, this is the only thing that fits, so I'm just going to eat this.
Right. And then that also just like brings in just you having to make more decisions that you don't need to make. Like
what am I going to eat?
The more that you like pre-decide what you're going to do and predetermine the things that you're going to do, the much better your day is going to be. Like if you're thinking about what's the next meal, like all day, like, that's never fun.
And if you're someone who's still struggling with emotional eating and you're making emotional decisions, you're less likely to actually make the right decision when you're fucking hungry. And you're just like, I'm just fucking eat a pizza that fits my calories and my macros.
Yeah,
it fits, but do it the night before. I will say on a full stomach after you eat your dinner. Like you're thinking logically at that time. You're not feeling hungry. You're not craving anything. You're full. You can actually make better decisions on what your meals are going to be the next day. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Facts. Like that a lot.
Yeah. So we do want to talk about how this needs to be used to your advantage, right? So I always say, like, the analogy I like to use when it comes to flexible dieting is just like a screwdriver.
I love this analogy. It's funny.
It's just like a screwdriver, right? So with a screwdriver, you can use it to your advantage of, building something nice. So let's say, Ben, I ordered something from Amazon, a shoe rack that we haven't gotten for weeks now in our new place. I said, I want to get you a shoe rack. Let me build it for you. Let me use a screwdriver. And then when I give it to Ben, then he's going to feel special about it, right? Or like I feel special because I did something good. Or I can also stab Ben in the eye with a screwdriver.
Yeah.
Just because I'm pissed off. So the point is, it's a screwdriver.
Yeah.
It's a screwdriver. You can use it to your advantage, or you can to benefit you, or you can use it to hurt you.
Yeah.
So make sure that when you are thinking about flexible dieting, the goal here is not to fit in as much junk food into your fucking diet, is to have more flexibility of what are some fun things so you can actually add in that still serves your body. Mm-hmm. Like that's the important thing. I always say like flexible dieting is not about cutting different foods out of your diet. That's not good for you. It's more so figuring out how can I add in good, nutritious foods that's more colorful, that's delicious, that's going to benefit my body, that makes me feel good the next day. More flexibility, not just chicken, broccoli, and rice.
Yeah. Facts. Make it fun. Make it fun for yourself. Because there's so many good, healthy foods out there. Like there's so many nutrient-dense foods out there. All you really got to do is just like shop the perimeter of the grocery store. Like just spend some time in the produce section, spend less time on the aisles. And you'll start to find some things that are actually really good.
Mm-hmm. I will also say that when it comes to flexible dieting, because someone's going to say like, it's too expensive. Your recommendations are too expensive. You're investing into your health.
Yeah.
Okay. Just understand that you can either eat junk food like McDonald's, $6 for what? Like a burger and a soda, $6. Oh, and fries, like a $6 meal.
I don't even think there's such thing as a $6 meal anymore.
I saw that on a billboard, and I was like, "That's fucked up."
I think for the most part, anytime you go out to eat, you're gonna be spending at least
$30,
$10 on the most cheapest shit.
But what I'm saying is like you can cheap out on food. And yes, you're going to save money, but you're actually not serving your body. Or you can spend a little bit more that you know is going to benefit you in the long run. I always say that it's an investment to yourself. It's an investment to your health. Like you need to make sure that you are aware of that when it comes to actually, the type of foods that you're consuming. Because, organic stuff is not going to be as cheap as, regular stuff. But how do you actually feel? Like, does it make a difference, right? Especially with snacks, right? I personally would need to eat like snacks that are, gluten-free, soy-free, all like dairy-free. And those type of snacks are harder to find. So yes, it's harder to source, so it's more expensive, but it's what's best for my body.
Yeah.
So of course, everyone's body is different, but I will say like, just keep that in mind when you're going into flexible
And don't
dieting.
give up when you find like something that may be, quote, healthy or organic or gluten-free when it doesn't necessarily taste the best, and then go back to the other shit that you've been eating.
Yeah.
Like take your time, and just try to find something that works. I know there's many times where just like you buy a snack, you're just like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
But then you'll like continue to look because like at the end of the day, you need certain ingredients to make sure that your body is running at a high level. So don't give up just because something may not taste good the first time. Just keep trying because at the end of the day, like, again, you only get one body.
I will also say that getting into flexible dieting will require a lot of effort. It's not just like logging in your meals, it's also prepping the meals.
Yeah.
Making the right decisions. It requires a lot of effort. Yes, it's not the most convenient thing,
Right.
going to the drive-through, but again, like think about the long-term results that you're actually aiming for, not just like the at the moment, not just like instant gratification. Like it's the long-term results that you actually want to achieve. Meal prepping is, you're gonna have to invest like an hour or 2 hours of your time in a week.
Yeah, to put your food together.
You don't,
but,
you don't want to do that.
But like once you're done with it, like if you think about it, you're done. You're done.
Yeah.
It may be not the best the first time. I remember the first time I meal prepped, I sucked. I was not good at it, but then like I just was just like, you know what, I need to do this. Like like this is just part of it. I'm not the best at it, but I can get better. Again, like if you expect yourself to be like great at something that you've never done, you're setting yourself up for failure. Just give yourself that time to learn.
Give yourself grace.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I'm like, when I first started meal prepping, I just followed the most basic shit. Like we said earlier, make sure you're seasoning that shit right so you actually look forward to it.
Yeah.
Now with meal prep, bulk prep rather, all these different meals, but because it's fucking bland, I get tired the second day and I'm like wasted groceries in the fridge.
Yeah.
Don't be that person.
Yeah, don't do that.
and not in this economy.
Yeah, facts.
So cool. Now that you guys understand how to get into flexible dieting, you're adding in like the stuff in there. I did want to add, because a lot of people are going to ask like, okay, what if I want to go out and I have like this event that I want to go to, or my friends and family want to go out? Like, how do I actually fit in like restaurant meals into my diet guilt-free? So how do you plan that out?
Well, I mean, there's a couple ways to go about it, right? Like I think of it like this, one meal first and foremost isn't going to, ruin your progress. It's not. Now, if you like turn that into 5 meals, that could be a problem.
Or you turn down like an everyday
into a
thing.
weekend where it's like every single day you're like, I got this thing that I need to do. But like, no, like if you've been on point, you've been, dialing in your diet, and then you have an event, one meal is not going to really like do much to your progress. Now, if you want to be more on point, one of the things that you can do is you can actually like front load your day with protein.
Yep.
You can make sure that before you go to the event that you get plenty of protein in your diet. Try to limit the
majority of foods on there are not going to have enough protein.
Right. They have a lot of carbs, a lot of fat.
Carbs and fats.
Yeah, that's just what it is. So you want to make sure that you're eating a good amount of protein throughout the day. So making sure you're eating, like lean meats. Try to have like some vegetables with it. That's going to actually keep you full throughout the day.
Yeah.
Make sure you're staying plenty hydrated. And then just leave yourself, anywhere from 500 to 1,000 calories to just to have fun that night, depending on what you want, where you're going and what your goals are. For me, like if I'm going out for a fun night, I'm gonna save myself about 1,000 calories. You might save yourself about like 6.
Yeah, I don't really go too crazy on the fun meal, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll do about 1,000 though.
Yeah, I actually did a video on this on YouTube, on where I ate 11 slices of pizza, in one day. So it basically showed like, okay, I had a low calorie, high protein breakfast, and my meal throughout the entire day was just straight up like chicken and fucking lettuce. I mean, it's not the best, but you are saving your calories and what's good for that dinner. And I fit that in, and I was able to actually, fit in my meals guilt free. And I woke up the next day feeling good. Like I actually didn't feel like I went batshit crazy on pizza. Like I fit that in because I planned it accordingly.
Right. And then you also got to enjoy the dinner. Like you
Yeah.
literally ate what you wanted and you didn't think twice about it.
Yeah.
Even though like you had planned to go eat a dessert afterwards, you're just like, I don't want dessert
Yeah,
anymore.
I actually listened
You're just
to
like,
my body.
I don't want it anymore because, you did everything that you need to do. You got your cravings satisfied and
Yeah.
then that was that. Yeah.
So yeah, it takes effort to do that too.
It does. So it's just like you have to be very conscientious
Strategic.
of what you are doing in order to make this work. We can't go through this on autopilot. If you've been struggling with your weight, it's because you've been going through this
Or like
on
you're like,
autopilot.
I listen to my
Well,
body.
yeah, but you've been going on autopilot for years now. You've been just doing what you feel is necessary. Like I remember there was a time where I ate Chick-fil-A every fucking day for like a year. You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy.
Yeah, every fucking day I would eat Chick-fil-A. And I did not feel great. And then I had to start just being more conscious of the things I was eating. I had to start cutting out the soda. And I was like, this isn't something that I want to do. But after about 3-4 weeks, I was like, I don't crave any of that stuff anymore because
Get tired of it.
Right. Because I had to break the habits with myself. You know what I'm saying? And build new habits at the same time. And the best way to break a habit is by building a habit at the same time, a healthy habit.
A healthy habit to replace it.
Yep.
I will say too, like, to add into what you said about you just making decisions that doesn't really serve you. Like the advice of listen to your body is straight up bullshit. I know you guys are going to see like all this content online, like wellness coaches saying like, oh, listen to your body. Like that's going to help you lose weight. But listen, sis or guys, bro, if you've been listening to your body, giving into your cravings all the time, and every single time you give into that craving, you start to fucking binge eat, then I don't think it's a smart idea to listen to your body. Like, this is why I always say, like, you need to build that structure. You need to build that consistency to where you can trust yourself around food before you start listening to your body. Like, all these influencers that create content like that came from tracking what they're actually eating. So they actually understand, like, oh, this is 100 grams of chicken. Like, this is 100 grams of carbs. Like, this is how much I need to eat. Because they've been doing that for years consistently. That's how they subconsciously understand what their body actually needs in terms of the serving size.
Because you develop intuition by experience.
Yeah. So you can't be just going off the rails of just saying, I listen to my body, getting into your fitness journey. If every single day you're fucking eating junk food, every single day you're ordering Uber Eats, every single day you are literally eating trash. Okay? If you yourself do not trust yourself around food, don't listen to your body. Like, that's not the advice that you should start off with. I want to say train yourself to learn how to trust yourself so that way you can listen to your body properly.
Facts.
Because sometimes you don't even know the difference between what you're craving and when you're thirsty or versus like you're actually hungry. Like, it's so different.
Yeah, there's so many times where like, even I know you like to share your snacks with me.
Yeah.
And she'll be like, hey, you should have this snack. I'm like, nah, I can't eat it right now because if I eat it, then I know I'm not going to want to eat my dinner.
Yeah.
Like, that's to me.
That's understanding your body.
Right. Because I understand that now. If I wanted, my brain is telling me, eat this little snack because it looks great.
Yeah.
But I know that I'm not going to want to eat anything after that just because just how my body responds to certain types of foods.
Yeah.
And I only know that because I've been doing this pretty much every day for the last, I don't know, half a decade every day. So
Yeah, just let them know how old you are.
old.
I will always say too, like, for me, coming from the experience of someone who had a really terrible relationship with food, like I used to be that person too that would, I need to have something sweet every time I'm done eating. Like, I didn't trust myself at that point yet to just listen to my body. Like, I stuck to the process of fueling my body better and following the 80-20 rule to where 80% of the time I'm eating like nutrient dense foods and that 20% is just the fun stuff. But that's how I actually fix my relationship with food, is just continuously showing up and creating proof to myself that I can actually follow through with this structure that I created around food. And I know some people are like, oh, like too much structure, like this is going to ruin my relationship with food. Like, I feel like I'm too restricted, but you're not restricted. You're just learning how to fuel your body better. Like that's basically the point of flexible dieting. It's just learning how to make better decisions for yourself that's also still good for your body. And once I got to that point, that's when I was like, okay, now I can listen to my body. Before, like I would freak out going on vacation. Like, oh, I'm gonna go eat whatever the fuck I want and just like go crazy even though I'm full. I don't feel stuffed, so I need to eat more. Like that used to be me. But every time we go on vacation and every time we have to go somewhere now, like it's completely different. I just like, okay, I'm good. I'm going to put the fork down because I actually feel like I'm satisfied. I'm not trying to force myself to be full. I'm just listening to my body, understand like I feel satisfied. So I'm going to stop here.
Yep.
If you're not there yet, this is what I'm saying. Don't just listen to your body. Work your way up.
So what benefits can they get from flexible dieting?
So now that you understand the process, now that you know step by step where to start, how to get there, how to work your way up, there's definitely a lot of benefits to flexible dieting. And number one is having better digestion. Okay. Again, when you're following the 80-20 rule and you're not fucking it up and eating junk food all the time, you're going to notice that your gut health is going to be so much better. I will tell you this. When I fucked up flexible dieting once, when we went off the rails and ate barbecue twice in a week, my gut health was compromised like really bad. It's gotten to a point where I actually cannot have dairy anymore, which is fucking crazy. I'm so upset about this, by the way. Can't have dairy, can't have soy, can't have lactose, or can't have whey even. Like I have so many like tubs of whey protein. After that, like I can't have those anymore, and I just have food sensitivities. But I will say, like, when you start to do flexible dieting right, you're going to start to feel better. Your sleep is going to be better. The way you think too is going to be so much better. You're going to be more clear-headed when your gut is actually working right. You're not going to be bloated. You're also going to have predictable results. You know, your weight is not constantly fluctuating back and forth because of what you're eating randomly. With that consistency and doing flexible dieting right, you can have predictable results with your gut health too.
I think, like you hit the nail on the head right with that one. I feel like if my stomach is in shambles, I can't do much of anything. You've seen it. Just go to the bathroom and run to the bathroom every 5 minutes.
Yeah,
I just can't do much. It's just like, well, I can't even think straight. Like if you have like a stomach ache, it's like
you're upset.
Yeah, you're not happy. You don't want to talk to anyone. Your mood's down.
Yeah.
And if you're constantly in that state of lethargy, then it's just going to be hard to operate through life. And a lot of the times, you get used to it. Like you get used to the fact that you're.
People are like, oh, just have coffee.
Yeah, you get used to just being in this low state, this low frequency state, because your gut health is off. And then when you do start to, fuel your body better, and when you do start to re-regulate your digestion, you'll realize, oh my God, my mood's better. Why do I feel so much better?
Why do I have more energy?
Like, it's just like, because I think a lot of times you may not even notice how off you feel right now because you have gotten so accustomed to being off.
Yes. I get so many clients, I would say, like when they start following that meal plan guide of just like eating clean for like straight like a week or two, they're like, oh my God, night and day difference.
I have so much energy.
Yeah, I don't even need coffee or pre-workout.
Like, I feel great, and I'm just so like my libido's through the roof. That's a big one. Like for guys, it's like the guys always tell me like, dude, my sex drive is through the roof right now. Ever since I started eating healthy and doing a little bit of cardio. So I mean, if you didn't get anything from this episode, fellas,
it's better sex life for you.
Better sex life.
I will tell you that. Yeah, no, like they have so much energy and they feel more confident too because they know that they are fueling they're making better decisions. They know that the decisions that they're making is in alignment with the body that they're trying to achieve or the person that they're trying to become.
Now, once you have figured this out, now you're going to be able to have more flexibility. You're going to be able to learn how to listen to your body.
Yes.
Once you have developed this system, because I think that flexible dieting is a system. It's
a way.
It's a system that you have to work and you have to operate within this system. But once you do master the system, master the methods, that is when you have that flexibility. And again, it's like the split analogy. You've been stretching for a little bit. You've been going a little bit deeper each time. Now you're able to just do all these different things. Your body's able to move a whole bunch of different ways. You have all these different
doing gymnastics and
exactly.
Shit.
You have all these different thought process. You have all this different knowledge, all because you took the time to learn it
and be consistent.
Yes,
be consistent with it and giving yourself grace that you're not there yet throughout the entire process. It's just like you're progressing.
Yep.
1 inch at a time.
1 inch at a time.
Yeah. And because now you have more flexibility, you're going to have that better relationship with food. You don't feel like you're caged up into, oh, I'm just eating chicken, broccoli, and rice forever to actually lose weight. Like, that's how I was able to achieve a better or healthier relationship with food, is just by understanding how to add in foods that's good for me. It's not just the junk food. You can have it here and there. But even when me and Ben would just go out to eat, sometimes I'm not like, oh, fuck, babe, I feel like trash. Like, I don't go in this downward spiral. I just go back into the next day, like going back into my routine, because I know that, it doesn't really damage my progress that much. It's just like getting back into it.
Yep.
Healthy relationship with food. That's important.
Yes. And then, of course, after that, like, you're just going to end up getting better, more predictable results, guys. Like, the more consistent that you are, the more in control of what you put in your body, the better that you can predict outcomes.
Better results you're going to see.
And like, you could just, like, I have clients who are on point, like, every single week. They're tracking their shit. They're doing certain things every week. And I'm able to tell them, if we keep this up by this week, we will be here, if you keep this up, because everything that you've been doing so far is giving you this result. So, when you do have that type of structure, when you do learn, again, you're just going to be so much happier. You're going to have better outcomes. You're going to be lifting heavier in the gym. Your mood's going to be better. You're going to be stronger. You're going to look better. It goes so far beyond, the kitchen. It goes so far beyond the gym. I think it's just like your quality of life just increases so much.
You're just literally choosing to take care of your body inside out. Like, that's what it is. Like, when it comes to the predictable results that you talked about, now that you're tracking, you have data to look at on what's working and what's not. Like, that would really help you progress in the right direction. Because, like, we talked about this earlier, how, okay, you're feeling bloated, you're feeling lethargic, and then you're not tracking what you're eating. How do you know which food is causing you to feel that way?
Yeah.
What do you think is the food that we need to cut out or minimize, right? If you don't have that data, it's going to be harder for you to actually progress.
Right. And then you also have data of, like, which of those fun foods, like, work well with your body.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, cool. Well, I can
fit this in.
I can have this type of sweetener, or I can eat this type of dairy substitute, or I can eat this, and this is what's going to work for my body.
Yeah, guilt-free, because it's good for you.
Yep.
So, flexible dieting, you guys. There's a lot that goes into it. It's literally not just like tracking food.
If it fits your fucking macros.
Fuck if it fits your fucking macros. Work your way up there, and you're going to get the best results out of it.
Yeah, and then over time, like, you're going to realize, like, after a while, the goal is to, like, it may take years for a lot of you guys. It's taken years for me, but, like,
me too.
I don't have to track my food anymore to maintain the results that I've gotten. I still weigh certain things, I still do different things, but, like, as far as like tracking, I just make a meal plan now certain days, like, since I am in bodybuilding prep and stuff like that. But for the most part, like, in the times where I'm just, trying to just maintain, I'm able to eat, like, pretty much whatever I want. And I feel really good about it. But I don't just eat like shit. I eat healthy foods. I still go to the grocery store, and I've trained my body to crave nutrient dense foods.
I was going to say that, like, once you've been consistently doing flexible dieting right and following the 80-20 rule, your body is actually going to start to crave more of the healthy food.
Yeah.
Like, whenever Ben and I would, like, go on vacation or go out to eat, like, we're just not saying, like, oh, just go to fucking McDonald's.
Yeah, let's just go to get this spicy chicken sandwich.
I don't even remember the last time I went to McDonald's.
It's been a minute.
Not that I'm craving or not that I care, but what I'm saying
is, the point is, like, when it's time to go out to eat, it's like, what can we eat that's like fresh?
Yeah, we pick something that actually is tastes good, or something that actually looks good too.
Yeah.
Like, it's not greasy, it's not heavy. Like, we actually look at the menu too and look at the ingredients, like, what does it have?
Yeah.
And that's not being too anal about what you're putting in your body.
Being aware.
Yeah, it's just having that awareness gives you more control of how you're gonna feel.
Yep. And more control of your outcomes.
Yep. So you're going to crave, I'm telling you right now, you guys are going to start craving, like, good food.
I remember when I first started this, I was craving broccoli all the time. That was just me. I was craving green, leafy broccoli and kale. Like that.
I fucking hate broccoli.
I know you probably do, and most people watching this, but after a while, guys, I was eating so much leafy greens, I just was craving it.
That's insane.
Yeah, that was just me.
Or no, actually, at some point, I was craving green beans.
Yeah.
But when you do it right, like when you air fry it.
Craving like some of the most basic foods.
Yeah.
But like because I know that it's going to, make my body feel better.
Yeah.
That's just what it is.
Like now, like when I feel like I want to go out to eat, I would crave like sushi or steak.
Yeah.
Those are the two things that I crave just because I know it's good and it's a good amount of protein and good macros.
Vegetables.
Yeah.
Like we're craving veggies. We're craving like lighter stuff.
Yeah.
The occasional,
or like a burger.
Occasional pizza and a burger here every now and again. But
even like when we eat pizzas, we're not just, let's eat the whole entire box.
Yeah, it's like I may have like, she probably eats more than me.
Yeah.
When we have the pizzas.
I would just eat like 3 slices.
I may eat like, well, I'll eat at least 3. But I used to eat a whole pizza by myself. Now I'll eat like 2-3 pieces, and I'm just
3.
like,
I always ate 3.
I'm just like, I'm good after that. Like I don't need to push myself to fill myself up.
But I always like, I understand like my hunger cues though.
Yeah.
When I'm eating like the fun stuff, like I make sure like, I always check in with myself, like, am I satisfied or am I good here or am I still hungry? If I am, then that's when I keep eating. But because you know how some people have the habit or just grew up in a family of like, you need to empty your plate even though you're fucking stuffed. You know what I mean? But you have to unlearn that. You have to understand that you're not, how do I say this? Like you're not hurting yourself if there's food left on the plate.
Yeah.
Just put it away and eat it the next
later,
time when you feel like you have the appetite to eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that you need to unlearn.
I used to get in trouble a lot for that when I was a kid. Like when I would go to other people's houses, I'd eat their food and I'd be like, I'm full. I don't want to eat no more. They'd be like, you got to eat your food. I'm like, I'm not.
I would
just tell them I'm not doing it. I'm full. Why would I do it if I'm full? So
that's like a boundary too.
Yeah,
right?
it is.
When you visit family, they're like, oh, eat more. Like, oh, try this. Like,
it's like, no, thank you.
You have to like hold that boundary.
Yeah.
And
it's nothing against them.
Yeah.
I just, if I don't want to put something in my stomach, I'm not going to.
Yeah.
I don't care how much you want me to.
Yeah. I always say like when you're drawing a boundary for yourself, it's not saying no to that person and saying yes to yourself.
Facts.
That's really important, especially like with now summer's coming up, people are going to events, people are visiting family. You need to learn how to say no if you know that isn't going to serve you.
Facts.
Even though you have the calories for it. And if you don't want to consume your calories with that specific food that they're offering, just say no. Like, I'm just going to save it for something that's better for me.
Yeah.
That's important. Because me and Ben, we're going to California. And I know how my family is.
It just say no, thank you.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. No, thank you.
No, thank you. That's it.
Let's practice. But this is going to be good for you.
No, thank you.
But I promise you're going to love it.
Thank you so much, but I'll have to pass.
I took my time to make this, though.
I will take this, and I might eat it later.
Do you promise?
I can't promise. Matter of fact, you might want to give it to somebody else.
It kind of hurts my heart.
I'm sorry, but that could hurt my stomach.
See? That's fine. It works. Doesn't hurt nobody, but it's just like an understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. No one's hurting nobody, period.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
That's it.
Yeah, that's flexible dieting for you guys. And I will say, like, when you want to learn more about flexible dieting, Ben and I actually talk a lot about that on our social medias. So where can they find you?
You can find me at benpruitt_fit on TikTok and Instagram.
And that's Papa Pump for you, by the way.
Yeah.
And for me, Meg Nunez, MEAG Nunez, and all social media platforms. I actually have a YouTube video talking about flexible dieting, and I talk about this on my Instagram and my TikTok a lot. So if you want to learn more about flexible dieting, if you do have questions about flexible dieting outside these podcasts, feel free to reach out to us in our DMs, and we'll try to answer you guys' questions as much as we can. We just want to continue to serve you guys.
Yes, and if you got value from this episode, guys, we would love it if you all left the podcast a 5-star review. And a nice little note, whatever it is that you want to say on that.
Or
guys.
like what stood out to you
that would
in
be
this
great.
episode.
We really appreciate you guys, and I hope y'all have an awesome rest of y'all's week.
And we will see you in the next one.
Peace.
Bye.
All right, fam, thanks for tuning into this week's episode. If you love today's show, don't keep that shit to yourself. Share it with a friend.
And if you want to see more of us, hit that subscribe button. And if you're that obsessed with us, it's Strong and Sexy Show on all social media platforms. We'll see you in the next one.